Hey, thank you for stopping by. Another No BS social media update. When we post this, it's actually right after 2014. It's the first post of the new year, so I wish you a happy new year. But it doesn't matter when you're watching this, whether it's in March, whether it's in June, whether it's in August, whether it's in 2017, if it's still up here. We're talking resolutions, but not necessarily New Year's resolutions. Just the resolution to spend more time, to spend more quality time, and to do a better job with social media. You know, as I tell people, I'm not the biggest New Year's resolution guy. I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I don't even think I've ever made New Year's resolutions. I strive that when I need to change something, when I need to start losing weight, I started doing it in August. That's when I sat down with the doctor and said, okay, I've got to do this. I've got to focus on it. I didn't say, well, I'll wait until after the first of the year. I'll wait through the holidays. I did it then. We should always try to strive to better ourselves whenever it is. Wake up every morning, what can I do better today? So if you're a New Year's resolution person, fine, take it as a New Year's resolution. But more importantly, take this as a time to focus on, well, the time you're spending with social media. I get not wanting to spend, not liking to spend, not enjoying spending a lot of time with social media. It seems like work, and it can be if you look at it that way. But I think for some people, it's more the frustration of not knowing what to say, not knowing what to do. So if you're not actively engaged in social media, I challenge you, I resolve to you, or I guess should have you resolve, to spend, well, at least 5 minutes 3 times a day, 15 minutes a day engaging in social media. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean you posting a status update, posting a picture, posting a video, whatever it is. Engaging with the people you're connected with, replying, liking, clicking on something and engaging with something they did to build that bond and build that connection. You can spend 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at lunchtime, 5 minutes in the afternoon if you can find it. It doesn't have to be that way. It can be 5 minutes at night. It can be 5 minutes in the first thing in the morning. Tell people, I'll be the first to admit and take this for what it will. I take my phone to the bathroom with me in the morning and spend some time engaging, whether it's answering emails, whether it's checking a Facebook feed, whether it's checking Instagram, whatever it is. I always like to multitask, if you know what I mean. So, if that works for you. If you're sitting in a doctor's office, sure, you could be reading a magazine, and there's great value in reading a magazine. But what if you took that 10, 15 minutes, or heaven forbid, an hour or 2 hours when you're waiting for a doctor, to engage in social media? To not necessarily post something. And again, if you want to post something, that's great. But more importantly, to connect with people. Social media is about connecting. So use that stolen time. Sadly, when we're waiting at a stoplight, not a good time to be tweeting something. And you shouldn't be, tweeting and driving. You shouldn't be engaging in your social media with your phone and driving. You understand that. But when you're sitting there waiting for somebody, let's say, I used to go pick up my mother from work when she worked in fast food years ago when I was a very young man. And so I'd sit there and pull up in the parking lot and wait for her to get done because she didn't get done exactly at 3 o'clock. It may have been 3:05, 3:03, whenever she was done with customers, whenever she was done cleaning up. So I'd get there 10 minutes early and wait for her. There was 10, 15 minutes. I'd sit there and listen to the radio. And if I had a book with me, I'd read a book or a magazine. Nowadays, with technology, you can use that to hop on your smartphone and check your social media status, to give a social media update. The hard part for me is I tend to come up with a lot of ideas while I'm driving across town. And since you can't necessarily stop and tweet or do it right then, by the time I get somewhere, I forget. I'm a big note taker. Everything doesn't have to be in real time, as I tell people. So don't necessarily, take a picture of the food you're eating or something like that. You want to engage with people. And if now's not the right time or you're too busy, do it later. It doesn't necessarily have to be in real time. That's a fallacy that, a lot of people like to believe in. It's catch me in the moment I'm doing it. But a lot of times it doesn't have to be. It can be. But again, resolving to find more time. Resolve to focus more strategic efforts, to focus more fine-tuned efforts. I'm not saying time, but to really focus, to build that strategy, is what we've talked before, to have a plan and to implement and orchestrate the plan. That's the important part. You know what? Maybe it's coming up with a plan. Maybe it's coming up with a plan of attack, saying, you know what? This month I'm going to attack Facebook. Next month I'm going to attack Twitter, or I'm going to do Instagram, or whatever it is. Delve into a new social media site. See if it's worth spending your time with. I've had so many artists who, I spent a lot of time on Facebook. I've never really been on Twitter. You know what? Twitter may work for you. Look what Twitter did for the career of Blake Shelton. I've got a lot of media friends who love to be on Twitter. It's a great place to get news, but more importantly, it's a great way to stay engaged with people on a regular basis, to have conversations with them. It's a whole lot easier. So they spend a lot of time on Twitter. I know a lot of people say, I've never really even looked at Twitter. I'm not interested in Twitter. Well, you may be missing out a lot by not checking it out. So at least check it out. And if you're going to be there, do something. You know, I've got artists who've set up profiles and they've tweeted 3 times and they've done nothing with them. They're just not interested. And sometimes it's better not to have that at all, or at least use it as a placeholder to say, hey, not really doing any tweeting here, but go catch me on Facebook, or go catch me on Instagram, or go catch me somewhere else. To use it as a placeholder, if you will, so you don't lose that name, so you don't lose that connectivity value. But don't necessarily then promote it on your website. You know, if you've got a Twitter page and you're not using it, I wouldn't put the link on your website, but I would at least have the page, have it linked and saying, hey, I don't really get into the tweet thing right now. I do all my, active engagement on Facebook or on my website or something like that, and put a link there so that way at least you've still got it as a placeholder, but then you can do something with it later if you're so engaged. I know a lot of people who get engaged with a social media site and then either lose interest or are late to a party. You know, I got into Instagram a few years ago and I spent a lot of time on Instagram. And every now and then I'll get a pop-up from somebody, hey, your Twitter friend or your Facebook friend or somebody just followed you on Instagram or just connected on Instagram or just signed up for Instagram. And I almost want to say to myself, what took you so long? You know, some people are picture people, some people aren't. Again, find where your base is and connect with them. Resolve to do that. Resolve to focus. Resolve to, go back and watch another episode here of the No BS Social Media Updates. Okay, that was self-serving. Hope you have a good one. A happy new year. If you're watching this in the new year, we'll be back next Tuesday with another No BS Social Media Update right here.